Hi everyone. Today we're going to continue our class on data manipulation, and today we're going to be focusing on categorical variables which are stored in R as factors. So what are categorical variables? Categorical variables are variables with two or more values, that's distinct values. Examples could be male, female, others. Also, categorical variables are divided, categorized into two as well. We have the nominal and the ordinal values. So the nominal variables has no ordering in the different values that they're having, while the ordinal are ordered. You can see from the name ordinal, they are ordered, they have a distinct order to the various values that are within it. So without further ado, we're going to look at manipulating the categorical variables, storing them in R as factors. And to do this, we're going to be using the forcats package, which is one of the packages available in the tidyverse package. So let's go ahead and load the package. So by typing in this line, library tidyverse, I think we're all familiar with this. So we'll be loading the tidyverse package. So let's go ahead and run the line of code by clicking run. So you can see on my right side, we have various packages that are within the tidyverse. So we have the ggplot2, table, tidyr, reader, dplyr, stringr, and forcats. So this is what we're going to be looking at today, using it to manipulate categorical variables. So let's go ahead. So we're going to continue using the data set that we used last week while manipulating strings. So I'm going to load that in and save it as comedy underscore train underscore table. So now we have the data set in our R Studio. So if you look down on my left, you'll see we have the table there. So we have various variables there. So we want to go ahead and manipulate some of the variables there. So we want to manipulate this, the joke underscore identifier, to make more sense of it. So let's look at what we have there. So we have the names of the comedians and the city where they performed, all lumped together, as well as the edition. So we want to break this and get out the names of the comedian, as well as the city where they performed at the edition. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. So I think from the last class, you should be familiar with what I have here. So here I want to extract out the names of the comedians. So by using the function str underscore detect, so I'm asking the str underscore detect to look at the variable joke underscore identifier. If it detects Apororo, that's the name of the comedian, it should assign the same name, the name Apororo, to it as the name of the comedian. So we're using the case when to extract all these values. So I'm running the whole chunk of code to get that out. So if we look back into the comedy underscore train underscore table, now we should have that within the table. So now we have the comedian there. So now we have the distinct name of each of the comedians there: Clint, Alibaba, and so on. So let's go ahead and get out the edition, the number representing the edition of the event. So I'm using str underscore extract to do this. So we go back to the table, we have the edition variable out there. So the next thing we're looking at is the location, that's the city where the event occurred. So we get that out. So while examining the values that were returned, there was a kind of a mix-up with the names. The capital city of Nigeria sometimes is represented with Aso Rock. So, but we want the name to be Abuja. So that's why we're replacing the rock with Abuja. So that's what we want to do now. So I think the last thing, okay, here. So I want to change that now. So now we should have something that represents each of the cities. So this is the location, and we have the location variable all set for us. Now let's go ahead and look at the forcats package. So the first thing we need to do now, for us to appreciate what we have within the forcats package, we need to look at getting out our values. We want to look at the sum. We want to sum up the number of viewers for each of the comedians. Now that we have their distinct name, we should be able to do that using the group by function from dplyr and then the summarize function. So let's go ahead and create something that could represent that. So we want to look at comedy underscore train table. So we pipe that to the group by function. So let's bring this down. So we want to group by the comedians. So we'll look at that. So that will be comedian. So with the groupings, we're going to summarize to get out the numbers, the number of viewers that responded to the ratings for each of the comedians. So we will pass in the summarize. So we're going to look at total underscore viewers. So that's going to be equal to, we'll pass the end function. That's going to get us all the numbers of viewers that responded for each of the comedians. So the normal thing to do when you group by is to ungroup after the summarize function. So if we look at what we have here now, let me run this. So if you look onto the right in the console, all the comedians have been grouped, and we have the total number of viewers who responded to their ratings. So with this, what we want to achieve here is this. We want to arrange the comedians based on the number of viewers. We want to arrange them. So we want to arrange from the highest to the lowest. So we're going to use the function, that's descending order. So we want to use that function within the arrange function as well. So we come down and say arrange. So we want to arrange the total viewers. So for us to arrange this, we want it to be, if we run this, it's going to be from the lowest to the highest. Okay, so now we want it to be from the highest to the lowest. So that's what I want to do now by using the DecdSC function. So if we run the whole of this code, now we should have from the highest to the lowest. So that's awesome. So we can go ahead and let's save this as a table. So we can make it viewers underscore by underscore should we do, okay, that will be comedian. Okay, so we can save this now, assign it to the name. So within our environment, we should have something like this. So this is what we have. So we have them arranged properly now. So let's save that. So now there are two functions that can help us. If we go back to the viewers underscore by comedian, here we'll see that each of these the value comedian is still character. So let me just look at the class. So that will be viewers comedian dollar comedian. So this should give me the type. So you can see now it's character type. So there's a base function in R that we can use to convert a character type to a factor. So, but forcats package has another function that is very, very simple and easy to use, and it works with what we have on ground. So, as dot factor actually work on the character, but arranges it based on what is being asked to do. It doesn't follow our rule, but it follows its own rule. That's the way I can just put it simply. So now let me just do a little bit of coding here so that you can see what I'm talking about. So let's type this, the viewers by comedian. Let's pipe that into a mutate function. So here I want to create two variables representing the factors that have been created using the two different functions now. So here we'll be able to appreciate the difference between each of the functions, although they are both creating factors for us. So the first one that I'm going to do is, let me come down here. I'm going to make it comedian underscore, that will be as underscore factor. So that will be equal to as underscore factor. I'll pass in the comedian. So if we try to do this now, let's try this one first. So here, okay, let me expand this so that we can see it better. It will be able to display the three. So now we have factor. Okay, so now the second one that I want to create would be comedian underscore as dot factor. This should be equal to as dot factor. So I'll pass in the comedian again. So now let's look at what we have. Okay, I'll have to expand the screen more. So I'll run that again. Okay, now we have everything here. Okay, now we can see that both are factors. They are all factors here. But there is a difference between the values that are returned. Something that I've actually forgot to tell you is that factors are stored in R as integers. The values of the factors are stored as integers within R. So now I want us to get out the values. This is the way you would appreciate what has been done to the character. So let me pipe this into as dot numeric. So since what we are having as the value is they are numeric values. Let me bring this down. Okay, that's the beauty of using the pipes. So we get to arrange our codes neatly. So here I'm going to pipe that as numeric. Okay, now let's look at what we have. Okay, good, excellent. Now, if you look at my screen, you can see that for when we use the as underscore factor, the function as underscore factor that belongs inside the forcats package, it assigns the value based on our arrangement. But if you look at what we got, the factor we got using the as dot factor, you can see it arranged it in alphabetical order. It went from Apororo here to that would be the next one will be Alibaba. That would be 2. Then the next one AY and so on. So you can see it's not following our rows, it's following its own row, and that's not helpful when we want to be free to do whatever we want with our data. So this is a plus to as underscore factor. So that makes it a bit much more easier and fun using the forcats package to manipulate the our factors. So moving on now, we're going to create there are some unique things about factors in while working as a data analyst. You get to appreciate using factors when you are working with statistical techniques as well as visualization. When you're visualizing your data, it helps more when you are working with categorical variables that are stored as factors within R. So now I want to create a function that we can use while working with during this class. So now I'm going to create a function called visualize to visualize our data. So it's going to be kind of visualize underscore function. So we'll assign that that will be function. Okay, so I have some codes there. So it's going to be more or less like passing in a data set, like a table to the function. So it's going to be, okay. So now the next thing will be to pipe the data that is being sent into the function to our ggplot function. So vs underscore data. I know, okay, for while going through our classes, we've not gone into visualization in R, but I think you can still follow along with me. That's why I'm trying to go slow and steady. Using the ggplot function, the ggplot function actually belongs to the ggplot2 package within the tidyverse package as well. So it helps, we use that for visualizing, creating plots on our data set. So we're going to go through that next month based on our schedule. So moving on. Okay, so I'm piping this into the ggplot. So what I'm using now, I need to use the function aesthetics. So my x would be equal to tutor underscore viewers. So then the y will have to take the categorical variable. So it's going to be equal to the comedian variable. So we want to create, now I'm going to pass in the function that is going to create the type of plot for us. So the type of plot is going to be a scatter plot. So that one, we're going to use the geom underscore point. So now we're bringing that up. So if we look, let's take it, okay. Now, since we're creating the function, we have to continue with that, and we'll use some scale underscore x continuous. Okay, let me bring this down. Okay, so that would be labels and that down. So I'm going to go to the scales package and use the function within it. So it's going to be the number format. So now let's add the layer for the labels. So labs. So here, going to first of all put in the value for the title. So it's going to be total number of viewers per comedian. Okay, so we can go ahead and give labels to the X and Y axis as well. So that will be the total, number of viewers. Then for the Y axis, we want that to be the comedians. So comedians, I think that's it for the function. So let me see let me have a look at that, and okay, I think we have to close that up. Okay, no, it's already there. Okay, now let me run the line of code. Okay, good. So now let's see if our function is working by passing in the table that we're having on ground. So that's, I'll pipe that into the function. So that will be visualize function. So let me run that. Okay, good. So we zoom to see a bigger picture. So now here we have the scatter plots now. So we have points representing each of the values corresponding to each of the comedians, and we have the labels well placed. So that's fine. So now we'll take a break at this point so that we'll come back and we'll continue with working with our factors. Thank you so much.